Rachel, thank you so much for sharing what you've shared so far. What I'd really love to ask you is what thoughts and feelings have you had throughout the year, and how have you addressed them in terms of, in relation to your personal resilience?
That's really interesting. I feel like I've been on a roller coaster in the year, in all honesty. So there's been moments, I said before, I spent time lying on the floor. There's moments I literally have lied on the floor, like laid on the floor for days, kind of thinking, what am I going to do with my business? How am I going to pivot that? I don't have the capability to change that. So I've been in some quite dark places. About feelings of loss, because my old little flat that I moved out of was my sanctuary. So where's the safety gone when I'm now, in a different family setup in the middle of a pandemic? Haven't seen my own mum for 2 years because she's up in Scotland. So all of this sort of thing. So I've had some really dark places. And what I've had to learn to do is to ride through them and to face them up front and just recognize that they're there, as opposed to what I would do before, which is I'd slap my face on, I'd go into work and I'd do a 15-hour day with a client or, at work, and I would push the thoughts to the side. But when you're locked down in kind of house arrest, you've got no option but to think. But overthinking and ruminating can be problematic. So I have developed some techniques. I don't know if you've ever used the passengers on the bus technique. So where you are the driver of your own destiny, and you're on your life journey on your bus, if you like, and you're always going to have these passengers on the bus that are going to be shouting at you, don't take a left turn there because you're going to drive the bus off a cliff. Don't do this because that's not, you're going to go round and round the roundabout. And for me, it was understanding who those passengers were. Was it the imposter syndrome passenger? Was it the scared passenger because of the life situation? Was it, in my instance, maybe this is too much information, but was it the perimenopausal hormone passenger that was just sending, the physiological symptoms racing? But once I was able to visualize that, I found myself going, right, what bus are we on today? And then sometimes I'd go, are we on the number 41 or 73? Because the 41 is the one that's going on the nice route journey. 73 is the tricky one. And having that conversation, which sounds a bit bonkers when you describe it like this, but it just helps to reset, address, recognize, acknowledge the feelings that are there, talk to them, but then just allow them to be there rather than encroach on everything you've got to do for the day. But it's taken me months to get to that point. And if you'd asked me a year ago, would I be sitting here talking to you about how I've got my own bus with all these passengers? I would say, Sue, you're like, no way. I'm far too corporate for that. But that's the biggest exercise, I would say, that I have done in my own kind of mental health resilience around living through the pandemic as a person, as opposed to a business owner, if you like.
I love that. I love that that analogy, which I haven't used. So you asked me if I'd used that. I haven't used before. But it's kind of that acceptance of the space that you're in, and don't try, try and work through it rather than move away from it, face it on.
The other thing I've done is I'm not a very woo-woo kind of person traditionally, but I've really got into visualization. And I listened to a visualization that was really interesting, because it took you had to imagine yourself in several years' time. And just the recording of it was really interesting. And I went into it thinking, I'm not going to be able to get into the zone for this. Oh my word, I felt like a lighter human being when I finished it. And you were beamed up from where you are today out into the sky, as it were. And then you were beamed back down into the future, and you had to visualize what that future would look like. What was really interesting was the beams were different. You had to visualize the color of the beams. And the color of my beam going out from today was blue, and the one coming back was white. And it was really calming. The one going out was like being the sea, and I live in Brighton. And it was really interesting. And then when I looked up a little bit around kind of color therapy and all of these sorts of things, blue is associated with throat problems. Well, back in April, I had a really bad throat infection, so I just thought there's got to be something more to this. So I guess it's helped me open my mind and give me the space, these kind of negative thoughts, these concerns in lockdown, has opened my mind to what I would have traditionally maybe poo-pooed as not being for me. I've had the space to give it a whirl, and maybe the desperation to go, right, let's try it. And actually it has been beneficial. So I think that has probably also made me a bit more of a tolerant human, or a bit more of a curious human.
Yeah, I love that. I really like that. So in terms of that visualization exercise, where did you access that if other people want to get access?
Yeah, absolutely. I accessed that. Sorry, I can't speak today. I accessed that from a psychologist she's branded on Instagram and things as the menopause psychologist. So I mentioned my hormones earlier, and she was running a course about for women going through the menopause around different psychological techniques to deal with different aspects of the menopause. And I contacted her and thought, I'm going to give this course a try. And it was one of the techniques that she used. So she's the menopause psychologist on Instagram is how I found her.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm sure there are some ladies out there and potentially men who might be feeling the same way, that would be able to access that. So thank you so much. Thanks for that topic.